Usually I use this channel for World of Warcraft videos, but this video is actually about Toys R Us and why I think one should open in my general area. You can probably tell from my accent. I mean, the way I say the word expansion, just that is pure Michigan accent. So the general city area where I live in is Grand Rapids, Michigan. I'm not going to be more specific than that for obvious reasons. But anyways, one of the reasons I'm making this video is because Geoffrey's Toy Box's YouTube channel has a small following right now. The fact that the following is small means that they are actually much more likely to actually respond to you if you talk to them, which in turn means there's a much higher chance that whichever employee is actually at the keyboard responding to you will be able to tell someone who can make decisions if they see your videos. So, Geoffrey, please pass this information on to whom it may concern. I would also love it if more people made videos of their own after seeing this one, where they talk about locations that they wish would reopen as Toys R Us's in their respective cities. That would drum up support fast, but we'll see if that actually happens. Now, to me, it was just plain sad that Toys R Us had to close. They were to toys what Disney is to family entertainment, what McDonald's is to fast food, and if you were a kid in the 80s, what Nintendo is to video game consoles. The first and biggest name that you think of. And this past summer, they closed. Being that huge a name, of course, Toys R Us would have to end up making some kind of comeback, and it's my hope that as 2019 progresses, Geoffrey LLC will either buy back and reopen some of the stores that were sold off in the bankruptcy, or that someone to whom they license the use of the Toys R Us name will buy or lease and reopen former Toys R Us locations in my area. And there are two different locations that I would like to talk about and one that I'd rather not talk about, but I will anyway for the sake of completeness. You'll understand why by the time the video is done. And the first location I'd like to talk about is this one here. It's near the corner of 28th Street and the East Beltline. It's called Broadmoor down here, but I believe up here it's called the East Beltline. Yep, East Beltline Avenue. This is the building of the Toys R Us that I went to. I made it a yearly tradition for myself to buy two toys there before Christmas. One for a boy, one for a girl, and I'd put them in the Toys for Tots bin that seemingly was always at the front of the store. I really miss being able to do that. And I think this would be the best store for them to open in the GR area. I mean, when I was scrolling around to get the label for East Beltline Avenue, you saw some of the locations that are around here. I mean, they've got Best Buy here, but let me zoom out a little bit more and show you another reason why I think this would be such a great idea. It is between two major shopping centers in the area, Woodland Mall to the west, and to the east, the shops at Centerpoint. And considering that there's a Best Buy right there, there's a Lowe's down here, it's a given. Families are going to be shopping in this area. And then there's all the places to eat around here. I mean, you saw some up there, but let me show you what's over here. There's an Olive Garden, there's a Wendy's, there's a Red Lobster, there's a Denny's, there's a Pizza Ranch, there's a Panera. Let's see, I believe there's an Outback Steakhouse around here too. Yes, there she is right now. Chipotle Mexican Grill, Five Guys Burgers and Fries right there. There's a Chick-fil-A, and I better not dwell on that or this will turn political. There's an Arnie's Restaurant and Bakery. Such good cakes there. Showed you Uccello's up there. There's a TGI Fridays across the Beltline. There's a Starbucks near that. Old Chicago's, they're so good. Closer to the mall, there's a Red Robin and there's an On the Border. And while we're on the subject of the mall, keep in mind families come to this area not just to shop and to eat, but also for entertainment. And given all the talk that's out there about how Toys R Us needs to evolve into a more experience-based thing in order to thrive in today's economy, entertainment is probably going to be a big part of what Toys R Us actually is going forward, and families come here to be entertained. This is an example right here. Right by the mall, there's a Celebration Cinema, and also, just a stone's throw away from Toys R Us, there is a Chuck E. Cheese really close. Another close by place which is used for entertainment, it's called Dave and Buster's. For those of you who don't know, Dave and Buster's is like Chuck E. Cheese but with beer instead of animatronic mascots. Good luck, Chuck. You're going to need it. Now, for another reason why I think this is an excellent, excellent location. Now, let me zoom out and give you an even bigger picture of just how strategically this Toys R Us was located. If you look at these silvery gray areas, those are businesses that are along 28th Street and the East Belt Line, or Broadmoor as it's called down here. You can see this old Toys R Us was smack dab in the middle of the intersection of two huge arteries of traffic. And these darker gray areas are residential areas that these businesses serve. You can tell, odds are good that if a person lives in the Grand Rapids area, they are going to be going through this intersection at some point. And even if it isn't on their way to work, odds are good that it isn't too far out of their way, and even if it is, there are so many other reasons for people to come to this area that just about no Grand Rapidian is a stranger here. And now for another plus about this location. Let's take a look at where your competitors are relative to this Toys R Us. There's a Walmart Supercenter, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles east of this intersection. That is the closest one. And if memory serves, I believe, yes, this is another one of your competitors in this area, Meijer. For a long time, we thought that Geoffrey's toy boxes were going to pop up in Meijers, and I was crossing my fingers for it because those are available in my area. There are basically no Krogers in West Michigan, so I missed out on seeing Geoffrey's toy box at all. And I believe there is a Target somewhere in this general area. Yep, right there. And all of these, your major competitors, are at least 2 miles away from that major intersection. So if competition from your competitors that are close by to your locations is a problem, this is definitely your location right here. And that is the first of 2 Toys R Us's that I wanted to talk about. The second one is way to the north. Way to the north here. Not quite it. This is it. It is not nearly as centrally located as the 28th Street location, but it does have a couple of things going for it that the Toys R Us at 28th Street did not have. First of all, it is really close to the intersection of 2 freeways, US Route 131 and Interstate I-96. It's kind of outside the city, this I-96 one, but at the same time it connects to some other important parts of the state, so I shouldn't underestimate 96's importance. The fact that this Toys R Us location is really close to the freeway is a reason to believe that people can come from further and wider away to shop here. And one other thing that this Toys R Us location has on over the 28th Street location is that this one has the iconic triple trapezoid roof. I really wish that I could have seen this location while it was still open. In fact, let's take a quick look at the sign for this shopping area. I'm not sure if you can see it here. It's got parallax scrolling here, and you can tell from the colors, if nothing else, the Toys R Us and Kids R Us labels on this sign are the biggest parts of this sign, and it is right by the freeway entrance. So shopping at Toys R Us was a huge deal for this area. Besides that, most of the things that the 28th Street location has, this one also has. In fact, it's even closer to a Chuck E. Cheese. This Chuck E. Cheese is right next door, and the only way you could get a Chuck E. Cheese closer to your Toys R Us is to have it inside your Toys R Us. Hey, there's an idea, but talking about the experience-based model, that's a completely different video. Anyhow, another thing that this one has is an AMC theater right south of Toys R Us. Just like the Celebration Cinema on 28th, except even closer. And again, there are terrific places to eat. There's an Olive Garden really close by. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings. Across the street, there's a Logan's Roadhouse. Taco Bell north of that. TGI Fridays, Qdoba. There's actually a ton of places to eat along Alpine. Alpine is this north-south road. And if I zoom out, you can see it is another major area, another major artery of the Grand Rapids area. There is a possible catch, of course. As you can see, Target is just a stone's throw north of this Toys R Us location, and about a mile north of here, you have the Walmart Supercenter. If you can steal their customers, then this is a great Toys R Us location, and it might actually be a good thing that those are close by. But if they can steal your customers, the 28th Street location is a better bet. And honestly, I'm kind of torn about which location I'd rather have you guys open back up. That's assuming you don't open both of these back up. Both would be ideal. I mean, these triple roofs, they are so iconic. They would make a great location to film a commercial about reviving Toys R Us locations. But at the same time, the one over by 28th Street, that one was my Toys R Us. And if I'm being honest, I'm expecting that this one is going to get more traffic. I guess my first pick, if it was up to me, would be the Toys R Us location on 28th Street would open, but the Alpine location is a very close second, and honestly, I'd probably go there too. The third location that I didn't really want to talk about is way south. Let me see if I can find it back here. Is that it? Don't think so. No, that's not it. Okay. It was down here. Let me see if I can get it to actually show up. All right. Here we go. It's this one that is way south of Grand Rapids. And it is, in fact, so far south that I have never been there. Honestly, as a native Grand Rapidian, I can tell you this feels too far out of my way to go down there. I'm guessing most other people in Grand Rapids would feel the same way. I wouldn't have even known that this location exists, except that I was doing all of this research for this video. That'll tell you how much traffic this gets from people who don't live in this general area. The things that this location has going for it are Target and Walmart are even further away from this one than they were from the 28th Street location. Let me see if I can demonstrate that. Walmart. Yeah, that's way up there. And I believe, yeah, the Toys R Us location was way down here. So it's like 4 miles away. And let me see if I can get Target on here. Same story. The Toys R Us is way down here, Target's way up here. That's at least 4 miles away. The other thing that this one might have going for it, depending on what exactly you're aiming for in terms of the reopening, is that it's physically smaller than the other 2 locations in the Grand Rapids area. So if you're looking for a smaller location to test run a reopening, you might be tempted to try this location. Honestly though, I would expect that it would be better to spend money up front to invest in a larger store that's in a better location than to spend less money up front for this. It's so far out of the way for most Grand Rapidians that the 28th or Alpine locations would get much, much more traffic. As much as I miss Toys R Us, if they just opened this location, I don't think I'd ever go there, except maybe once a year for my annual Christmas time Toys for Tots pilgrimage. Apart from that, I'd probably prefer going to Walmart or Meijer. They're generally more conveniently located. I really, really miss Toys R Us. And while I don't know which business model Geoffrey LLC is going to pick, whether it's going to be licensing it to entrepreneurs who are going to open stores or opening up the stores and running them themselves, either way, I think that these two locations would be terrific for a pilot program, especially since West Michigan never got a chance to see Geoffrey's Toy Box. Kroger's just doesn't have any locations out there. Geoffrey, if you are listening, please come back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. We miss you.